Hello, how are you guys doing today? My name is Anima and today we've got a post-commentated Pokemon ORAS Wi-Fi battle for you, this time against Joaca. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Probably said it wrong 3 times in a row just then. I'm really sorry about that. But your Twitter link will be in the description down below, as it always is, folks, along with any YouTube links that you may or may not have. There will be a question of the day at the end of the video. I will remind you that the like button exists, but it is completely up to you to decide whether or not to fondle it, squeeze it, tease it, please it at the end of the video after watching, of course. Or you could be a complete and utter rebel and like it right this very moment, and I would be shocked, amazed, completely bewildered and astounded by your bravery. So, bravery by a rebellious nature even. So, yeah, we've got a nice little OU tier match over here, and I really like this team. It is made by the one and only Ellis Lusk. Of course, it's going to be the trend for teams for a little while because he's got sent me like a bunch of teams. And so we're going to be using those because it takes off a lot of strain off of me in terms of making my own teams. Anyway, so yeah, we've got like a Raikou, we've got a Talonflame, we've got a Serperior, we've got a Mega Pidgeot, Dugtrio, and Tentacool. My opponent is rocking the Mienshao, Talonflame, Rotom Bollocks, Florges, Absol, and Ferrothorn. Very bulky Ferrothorn, Florges, Rotom Wash core. It's really it's really upsetting, and lots of priority death with Talonflame and Absol Sucker Punch, as well as Mienshao, who may or may not be scarfed for the cleanup later on. But yeah, looking at his team, it's kind of tough. It's kind of bulky. I'm gonna need to make some predictions in order to break it, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, it was a very fun game indeed. So let's press play, and you guys will see precisely what I saw. So, Joaca is going to be issuing that challenge. Joaca, I'm not completely sure. He's going to lead with that Ferrothorn as I lead with Raikou. This is my best lead because I can get the little switch out with the Volt Switch if the matchup is not to my favour, as I'm sure you all know. So we're going to go for that Choice Specs Volt Switch. It doesn't actually do an awful lot of damage at all because it is a resisted hit, as my opponent predicts the switch very nicely. Goes for the Leech Seed. This is very advantageous for him. He can get a little smidgen of HP, and I can just sit here and flap around desperately, and it's really just not very good. But he does have the safe switch into Florges. Honestly, he can go into the Florges or the Rotom. Both things wall me to death, and I am going to Mega Evolve and go for the obvious Heat Wave. I don't want to predict too early right now because I just want to, it's still early game, so I feel a little bit, yeah, we're just going to go for the obvious stuff. But yeah, no, he's going to get a little bit of health back from the Leech Seed, and he's actually going to pull a double switch going into Absol, predicting me to switch out, but I do go for the U-turn, managing to do at least, 50% to that Absol, which is extremely nice. He didn't know I had U-turn, so he did make that risky play there. So I go into my Talonfoof just to bait him to switch into the Rotom so that I can get a free switch into my Serperior. I do get the matchup I want. The Rotom does come out as expected, and he is forced to withdraw or risk losing his Rotom to a Leaf Storm. So Mary is going to go for that Leaf Storm. It doesn't do an awful lot, but it is a decent chunk, all things considered, since that is a Florges, and Florges does have an utterly rude special defensive stats. So I can't do much to this thing. I don't want to sit here and just get Life Orb, recoil all over the place, so I'm just going to switch out into my Tentacool as my opponent went for the Protect, perhaps the Scout or something like that. But either way, my Tentacool is a safe switch into Florges, and I'm going to be able to get my first layer of Toxic Spikes. If I can Toxic Poison that Florges on the switch in, I'll be so happy. So we're going to get our second layer of Toxic Spikes as my opponent gets the free Stealth Rock up. So this is honestly really upsetting. I've got to get rid of these rocks straight away because I have a Talonflame and a Pidgeot, and these guys do not like this stuff, as well as a Focus Sash Dugtrio. So we're going to get the double whammy of Rocky Helmet, Iron Barbs, and my opponent is going to go for the Leech Seed. This is kind of a double-edged sword for him because obviously I'm going to be taking a lot of damage from the Leech Seed, and if I try and Rapid Spin away any further hazards, I'm going to be taking so much damage. But we do have the Liquid Ooze, so I go for the Skull, just trying to get the burn here really, which would have helped because this Power Whip is kind of smart. It actually does quite a lot of damage, and the Leech Seed is really not helping. Poor Megan Fox is just getting destroyed, but at least Aaron is on half health, so that's kind of alright. We're going to switch out right now and go into Mary, because I want to preserve my Tentacool. He does expect the switch, I believe, which is why he goes for the rocks. And I had the feeling that he'd get scared out, so I do go into Megan Fox. I wanted to bait him to go into his Florges, which is why I went into Megan Fox, but he actually goes straight into the Talonflame, who could quad resist a Leaf Storm, so that was still, you know, it was still just an all-round good play from him. So he's going to go for the Brave Bird. I chose to sack my Tentacle here because nobody wants to bloody take a Brave Bird and the rocks are up and all kinds of shit, and it's just awful. So I go into my Fanny Puss, because I know I can take any one hit from this thing, even a Flare Blitz, as long as it's like a choice balanced Flare Blitz, and that's impossible because it just went for Brave Bird. So we are going to go for the Volt Switch. It's my best play. He wants to preserve his Talonflame for later. I do understand he's got that priority Brave Bird, which will come in handy for the rest of my team, but I'm going to go into my own Talonflame, the mighty Talonfoof, who is just beautiful and weird and scary, and I just love her very much. But out comes Simon's again. And I went for the Flare Blitz because I thought I can try and get a burn with the Flare Blitz, and lo and behold, I actually managed to get the burn. It was my best play the way I think. I could have, you know, Brave Bird, if he'd stay in, he could survive and all that stuff. This was really stupid of me because I went for the Roost, being like, oh yeah, you're just gonna Volt Switch out of here. But it's like, well, I was never gonna switch out because the rocks will kill me at this point, so... yeah, you know, it just... he made the correct play, he went for the Hydro Pump. It's a shame that he actually made contact, but I burnt him with a Flare Blitz, so I'm completely... it makes total sense. So we're going to go for the Leaf Storm as he chooses to sack his Rotom, or maybe he predicted me to over-predict, I'm not completely sure, but either way the Rotom is dead, and I love that. I love that. I'm so excited about that, I really am. But I actually, when he switched in his Talonflame here, I was sacking my Serperior completely. But instead of going for the Brave Bird, he went for the U-turn, and this is absolutely critical because it puts his Talonflame at really low health, so it'll die to recoil. It'll die to the recoil of the next move it makes, provided it does enough damage. So he's going to go out into his Absol as I go out into my Houdini, my Mega Pidgeot, because I do expect him to just Mega Evolve and go for the Sucker Punch. Because he doesn't want to lose his Absol and he could take me out. So I am actually going to take this opportunity to go for the Roost and get all my health back, which is super, super nice. It's really nice actually to have Roost on a Mega because you can just like heal yourself and it's just beautiful. So I was hoping that he wouldn't go for the Sucker Punch. I was hoping he'd go for like Swords Dance or something, but I just went for the Hurricane anyway. And thankfully we can live one more switch into Rock, so it's not that big a deal. But anyway, out comes Talonflame. I've got to preserve my Pidgeot, so I do switch into Fanny Puss, who I know can take a Brave Bird. As long as it's a Brave Bird, I can't take a Flare Blitz, but I can take a Brave Bird. So here it comes, smack. And we do manage to take it, and the Talonflame does die. So that U-turn from earlier did cost my opponent so much, it really did. And he has to go into, into his next Pokemon. But I'm not completely sure why he went into Aron. Maybe he guessed that I was Choice Specs and was forcing me to lock myself into Shadow Ball. But I'm not completely sure because that Ferrothorn does in fact die. And I think maybe T-Bolt might have taken it out as well. I'm not completely sure about that. But either way and anyway, out comes Florges and out comes Swinger, my Dugtrio. We do take a Toxic to the face, but this is kind of alright. I just wanted to trap this thing in here and kind of get a little bit of toxic damage on it, you know, maybe get a nice little Earthquake or two. So I do go for the Earthquake, and it's going to do a handsome amount of damage. I'm totally happy with that. I just want this thing to suffer, this little plant bastard. But my opponent does go for the Wish, and he's just trying to stall me out here, and you know, that makes total sense. It makes perfect sense. I completely understand. I get it, man. I do. But he is forced to go for the Protect, so he does in fact do that, and I predict that. So I go for the Stealth Rock. He is forced. He can't switch out because Arena Trap is in place. So if he wants to keep his Florges, he must go for that situation. So I'm going to take some toxic damage, as is my opponent. And at this point, I expected him to attack. So I'm actually going to switch out right now and go into my Raikou. This is because I wanted to preserve my Dugtrio's Sucker Punch. Just in case that Mienshao was scarfed and it all came down to something really, really sketchy like that. And I wanted Fanny Puss to get taken out so I'd get the switch into my Mega Pidgeot. This is a bit convoluted. I'm not completely sure what I was afraid of at the time. But I do go into Houdini, and this is because I wanted to get up to full health. I wanted to get up to as much health as possible. To maybe try and live a hit from the Mienshao. Of course, if it has Stone Edge, no guard, Choice Scarf, Stone Edge is going to destroy me, but it might not kill my Dugtrio. So if this thing was scarfed and it locked itself into Stone Edge, then my Dugtrio might have a chance at taking it out with an Earthquake. So that was my thought process there. But he does actually just go for the Fake Out, and that and the Life Orb and stuff, it does completely put my worries to rest, because he is Life Orb and he's not Choice Scarf, which means I don't have to worry about whatever he's going to lock himself into. I can just safely go for Hurricanes. That Fake Out doesn't do enough damage to take out my Mega Pidgeot, so out comes Katara for the final time. That is a cool name. I wonder if it's a reference to anything. But we are going to go for that second Hurricane, and that is going to take out the Mienshao, and that is going to be the game, dear friends. That was honestly, it was a really close game. I think if my opponent had made a few different plays at very particular points, like that U-turn was extremely costly for him, I feel, because that Brave Bird could have sorted out my Dugtrio, could have sorted out my Pidgeot. Not from full health with my Pidgeot, but it could have definitely sorted them out, especially if it was banded or something. So yeah, I think it was like, it could have definitely gone either way, that game, but we did manage to just about manage to grab that victory by the skin of our teeth, and yeah, Ruse to Mega Pidgeot did come in handy. It did come in handy indeed. Also, the Mienshao not being scarfed was kind of a big deal. But yeah, folks, I really do hope you enjoyed today's battle. Once again, thank you very much, Ellis, for the team. Today's question of the day is, in fact, what is the coolest fictional race that you know? So what's the coolest fictional race in your opinion that you know? I really can't decide right now because there are so many. They're really, really cool. I really like Draenei from World of Warcraft. I really do like the Draenei. I really do. They're just like these cool space goat things with like a strong affiliation for the light and stuff like that, and they're just like kind of cool and just peaceful, and but like really powerful and stuff, and they're just like fucking cool as hell. Oh man, I don't know. I really like Turians. I really like all the Mass Effect races, to be honest. But I like Turians. And Krogans are cool. And oh man, all the Mass Effect aliens are just like, mate. Oh my god, I could not possibly decide if my life depended on it. Oh, too many options. Anyway, guys, let me know what your favorite, what you think the coolest non-human alien-y race is in your opinion. Can be from any franchise, anything whatsoever. So folks, thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you soon, my friends. Bye bye.